to the Billy Holloway Show. Thanks to our sponsors. Today's show is being underwritten by
Legacy Funeral Home and Life Center offers an array of quality services, serving our community with compassion, care, dignity, and respect. We are dedicated to the value of compassionate funeral services and believe our first responsibility is to the families we serve. We guarantee our wide selection is unmatched, allowing you to customize a funeral ceremony or memorial tribute that truly captures your loved one's memory. Legacy takes pride in serving all families during their time of need. Let Legacy Funeral Home and Life Center help you leave a legacy well celebrated.
I've written a brand new book entitled An Encouraging Word, bringing you an encouraging word, letting you know that God is able. And I want you to be sure to support our show by picking up a copy of our brand new book just for you. And you'll be glad you did. Welcome to this edition of the Billy Holloway Show. We're certainly glad that you have tuned in for another edition. And I'm just so excited about this new season, new shows, new guests. And today we've got an exciting guest for you. We have with us today Dr. E. Dewey Smith, the pastor of the Greater Travelers Rest, the House of Hope. Welcome to our show.
Thanks for having me. How are you, sir?
I am well. Dr. Smith, I tell you, man, I was just reading about you. I'm just saying, how in the world do this man do all that he's doing? You're an accomplished musician. You're a family man. You're a 3-time Teller Award winner. You have numerous degrees, should I say. You're involved in film, television. You're a publisher. You're an author. And you got a membership of over 10,000 members. Just tell us, what else are you going to do? What else can we expect out of you doing, Smith?
That's a great question. You made me tired just listening to some of that stuff. That's a little bit of insanity and divinity, but I want to die empty. So I just want, the gifts, the gifts that God has given me, I want to use all of them. And just to inspire people. I believe God placed me on earth with one purpose, and that is to bring a message of hope. But God has given me different gifts and different ways by which I can bring that message. So whether it be ministry, music, film, entrepreneurship, I just want to be a messenger of hope on the earth.
Well, I'm just at awe at all the things that you do, and I'm just wondering, where do you get the energy from?
That's a great question. I think for me, I try to stay focused on what my purpose is. Mm-hmm. I think for a long time I did things. Sometimes you can think something is a good idea. But just because it's a good idea doesn't mean it's a God idea. And you can find yourself just being tired. You're doing all this stuff and look up and say, wait a minute. Then it's like God is saying, did I tell you to do that? Or is it something you just want to do? Some things are God's will. Some things are our wish. So there's a difference between, my ambition and what I've been assigned to do. So I'm just trying to tap into what I feel God has assigned me to do. And when I do that, the energy comes, and I think the blessings come when I do what God has called me to do versus what I want to do or what I think may be a good idea.
Well, every time I turn on, I'm always seeing that you're doing something new, a new adventure. If it ain't marrying celebrities, you're producing a book, a play, and now just reading that you have a record label, Pebble Records. So let's talk about that. Pebble Street, should I say?
Yeah. Pebble Street is a street in Macon, Georgia, where I met you.
Okay, all right.
Many years ago.
Yes.
And so I grew up on Pebble Street. My grandparents, my parents, obviously lived on Pebble Street. I took piano lessons on Pebble Street when I was 5.
Wow. Okay.
Miss F. Williams' house. My dad put a guitar in my hand when I was 3 on Pebble Street. So we used to have family singings and very musical. My granddaddy sang quartet. My dad sang quartet. My great uncle sang quartet. So all that took place on Pebble Street in Macon, Georgia. So shout out to everybody who's in South Macon, Georgia. So I started this label as a tribute to my roots,
to Pebble Street.
Street. And so I'm excited about it.
Well, now see, I had no idea, so I'm kind of glad you kind of enlightened us on that, because I'm like, how did he come up with Pebble Street?
Yeah.
So I now I see the connection.
Yeah.
Now, do you have other artists assigned to your label?
Yes. We just signed our first artist. Actually, Pebble Street. My single was released a few months ago. and thank God. And we signed an artist out of Memphis, Tennessee, and released his single some months ago. And both of them have charted already on Billboard. Wow. And we have just signed another artist out of St. Louis. He was one of the Sunday Best finalists. His name is Michael Lampkin.
I know Michael.
And Michael. Yes. Okay. So he's actually the third artist signed to our label, and his project will be out in the winter early next year in 2022. So Michael is an incredible pastor and vocalist. Pastor Courtney Franklin was our first artist. He pastors the Power Spot in Memphis. Oh, his album will be out later this fall as well. So three pastors who are all musicians that have all been signed to Pebble Street so far.
Well, now see, that's what I'm talking about. There you go again. I'm like, here you go, another venture, and now you're telling us now that you got label signed and you got projects. But again, man, I just don't see how you do it all. But again, you said we have to operate within our gifts, and you've got numerous gifts, numerous talents, and I'm just trying to see how in the world you do it all.
And I think it's also important that you had the right team.
That's it, and that's key. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, about the team. You just tell us more about the team concept. I mean, I played sports growing up in sports, so I was very sports inclined. So whether it be basketball, football, baseball, I was a 4-sport athlete, many years and several pounds ago. But Shaquille O'Neal's one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Right.
But the thing about it, and he was a big man, but he liked to be elusive and liked to dribble sometimes. Mm-hmm. But his gift wasn't dribbling. His gift was being down low.
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes we can have the right people, but if you don't put them in the right places, in the right positions to maximize their talent. So you got to have people who have a capacity, who have dedication, who have some professionalism, and who buy into the vision, and who are efficient. And I just think people who can see the vision, people who believe in you, believe in the vision, that's so important. And so I've been fortunate at this season of my life to have some people who really believe in me and really want to see the vision come to pass. Hadn't always been that way. So some of this trial and error, even Jesus chose Judas and Peter. So sometimes, sometimes you win, sometimes you don't, but teamwork is important.
Yeah. Well, we talk about all the things that you are involved in. I know that you are a published author, and I know you've written several books. And I know, so let's talk about a couple of your books, if you don't mind. I know you got a couple of books that I know that you've written and you've published. So let's talk about a couple of your books, if you don't mind here.
Yeah, I have one called A God Dream, which is probably one of my favorites. Okay. And I talked about it earlier, kind of looking at the life of Joseph and how Joseph had a dream. And it really helps us to kind of like, as I was saying earlier, Joseph had a dream that God gave him. Mm-hmm. And because he had a God dream, something God gave him, it inevitably came to pass. And I think a lot of times we've been told, you heard this, you've been in church all your life, you can be whatever you want to be.
Right.
If you work hard enough, you can be whatever you want to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but that's not always the truth, Well, all right. I mean, no matter how hard I worked in basketball, I could never be Michael Jordan. I don't care if I practiced 23 hours a day, because that wasn't my purpose. That wasn't my gift.
Absolutely.
And so just because you work hard at something, just because somebody wants to sing, they can take voice lessons all day long. But if they haven't been gifted to do it, it won't come to pass. So I just think we have to stop telling people you can be whatever you want to be and start telling them you need to be what God created you to be. God told Jeremiah, before you formed in the belly, I knew you and I ordained you. And I think we have to tell people how to tap into what God has told them. And so that book of God Dream is on that. And so I believe in purpose. I speak a lot about purpose and destiny. And so I have another book on purpose that's very powerful as well.
All right. Well, we're going to take a break and we're going to come back and we're going to shift. And we know that you are an author. We know that you are a television producer, director, and you do have several shows already. But we're going to shift to your music, and we're going to talk about your music and about your new project. And we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back with more from Dr. E. Dewey Smith on this edition of the Billy Holloway Show. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Billy Holloway Show. Thanks to our sponsors. Today's show is being underwritten by
Legacy Funeral Home and Life Center offers an array of quality services, serving our community with compassion, care, dignity, and respect. We are dedicated to the value of compassionate funeral services and believe our first responsibility is to the families we serve. We guarantee our wide selection is unmatched, allowing you to customize a funeral ceremony or memorial tribute that truly captures your loved one's memory. Legacy takes pride in serving all families during their time of need. Let Legacy Funeral Home and Life Center help you leave a legacy well celebrated.
I've written a brand new book entitled An Encouraging Word, bringing you an encouraging word, letting you know that God is able. And I want you to be sure to support our show by picking up a copy of our brand new book just for you. And you'll be glad you did.
Near a blessed Lord, to the cross where thou hast died. Draw me nearer, blessed Lord, to thy precious bleeding side. To thy praise, my. I want to be close to you. To thy precious bleeding side, to thy precious. When I get up in the morning, when I go to bed at nighttime, I want to be close to you. Just a closer walk with thee, to thy precious bleeding side. Every move I make, every breath I take, I want to be close to you. Hey, just a closer walk with thee. Granted, Lord, if you please, I got to be close to you. Would you walk with, would you lead, would you guide me? Every day of my life, keep me near the cross. I need your presence, Lord. To thy precious bleeding side.
Well, welcome back to our show, and we're certainly glad you have tuned in to this edition of our show. And we're just excited for all that we're doing in this season. We're excited for you tuning in each and every week to the Billy Holloway Show. We're going to continue our conversation. We have with us Dr. E. Dewey Smith. And Dr. Smith, before the break, we were talking about knowing your purpose and operating within your purpose. And I must say that you are one who certainly has been operating within his purpose. Here we are in the middle of a pandemic, and you have managed some way, somehow to pen the words to a new song that's topping the charts. Let's talk about this hit, Your Presence is a Gift. What inspired this song at this particular season of your life and the season in which we're in this pandemic?
You know, I always wanted to do music professionally. And but when I started pastoring, a lot of my older mentors told me to focus on preaching. Okay. And so, you know, I was having a conversation with Bishop Jakes a while ago. He was like, "Man, you got so many talents you haven't been using. Use everything God gave you." Mm-hmm. So long story short, you know, 5 years ago, I had a traumatic season in my life. My godmother died one week. My mother died the next week. My best friend from college died 3 days later. My sister died 3 weeks after my mother died. My brother had a massive stroke 5 days after my sister was buried. So it put me in a very traumatic time, you know, and I struggled emotionally. You know, I went through a battle with depression, and inevitably had to go talk to a therapist about it. And you know, I want to just say that to people too. A lot of people think just because you're Christian that you know that we don't talk about therapy or emotional health or mental health. I think it's so important that we do that. You know, we sometimes the faith community we shun
from our mental health. And I think you're right. I think it's good to talk about our mental health, because a lot of times when we don't talk about it, folks think that we're exempt.
No question.
And you know, and my heart really went out to you when I heard that your mom had passed away.
Yeah.
And then when I saw you preaching on television, you said that, you know, my mom passed away, and my sister, and now my brother, and you know, and man, it just did something to me. And I'm like, wow, how in the world is he still able to continue? Because folks are still looking to you for hope.
Yeah, you know, honestly, I probably think I did too much because I took some time off. But
it
took me about a year to kind of get my bearings back. But to answer your question, you know, the Holy Spirit came to me and said, "Man, you've been focusing on your mother and your sisters and your best friend's absence, rather than appreciate my presence."
All right now.
And so, and so don't just focus on what you lost, appreciate what you have left. And so hence the words, your presence is a gift.
Oh, my.
So some other writers and I collaborated and came up with this song, and it's been blessing people. I thought during the pandemic, so much loss, 600,000 people have died during the pandemic.
Goodness. Wow.
And a lot of our members and communities have been affected by it. So I want to give this as a gift to them, that no matter what they've lost, to know that God's presence is a gift and he's our reward. And even in the most difficult times, God can get you through it. So your presence is a gift.
Well, I tell you, it has certainly been a gift, and it's certainly been blessing. So how did you decide if you want to make it fast, slow? I mean, I don't know how y'all do that thing. So tell me, how did you decide if I'm, because, I've heard you do some other songs.
Right.
And just didn't know where you was going to take this song. So how did you decide the direction of the song,
Well, it's all about the feel and flow, and for me, songwriting is about the melody first.
Okay.
And that song was more worship. It was more of a worship number, and I wanted to be a worship, kind of contemporary feel. So with that one, we went slow. Now I've got some others on the album. The album's going to be diverse, but that was more of a worship number, and I wanted to be something that had that lyrically people could connect with and have a line that could be repeated. So that was a worship song. The lyrics, it was lyrically worshipful as well. So that's why we went that direction with that one.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, so when is the other album, parts of the other album, I know you're working on it, so when is it going to come out?
Yes.
When is it going to be available?
Well, the album is available, actually 1st of October.
Oh, awesome.
Yes, 1st of October on all digital platforms, and people can, we have hard copies through my website and through our record label. So people who like physical CDs, we have those available as well, but they can get it. It's called God Period, the God Period album by E. Dewey Smith. It's available.
Your presence is a gift, Dr. E. Dewey Smith. Listen as we go to break. We'll be right back with more of the Billy Holloway Show right after this.
I am a man blessed beyond my dreams, but it don't mean nothing. Life's not good as it seems. Love and riches, what do they really mean? They may come and go, but you will never be so. Save your treasure, we find our pleasure. All our joy is in you, just want more of you. So save your treasure, we find our pleasure in you. You're our reward. Oh, your presence.
Your presence is a gift.
Your presence is a gift.
Your presence is a gift.
And I'm thankful because
you are our reward.
You are reward. Your presence.
Your presence is a gift.
Your presence is a gift.
Your presence is a gift.
Father, we're desperate for your presence. Like we need air, like we need water. More than anything, we need your presence. We find our pleasure. All our joy is in you. In your presence, there's fullness of joy. Now your right hand, there are pleasures forevermore. So save. We found our pleasure. It's in you. It's in you.
You are our reward.
Your presence is a gift.
Your presence is a gift.
I'm I'm thankful because you. Your presence is a gift. I said you're our reward. Your presence is a gift. I'm thankful. I give you glory. I've got to give you honor. Give you praise. In your presence there's fullness of joy, and your right hand there's pleasures forevermore. Having you, it is plenty. That simply means you're more than enough. I found that you'll be that. And I'm thankful because of you. Your presence is a gift. Your presence is my gift. I said you're Jehovah Jireh. You're Jehovah Shammah. You're Jehovah Siskanu. I said your presence is a gift. Because of you, I said you. Your presence is a gift. Your presence is my gift. Your presence is a gift that I need.
Thanks to our sponsors, today's show is being underwritten by
Legacy Funeral Home and Life Center offers an array of quality services, serving our community with compassion, care, dignity, and respect. We are dedicated to the value of compassionate funeral services and believe our first responsibility is to the families we serve. We guarantee our wide selection is unmatched, allowing you to customize a funeral ceremony or memorial tribute that truly captures your loved one's memory. Legacy takes pride in serving all families during their time of need. Let Legacy Funeral Home and Life Center help you leave a legacy well celebrated.
I've written a brand new book entitled An Encouraging Word, bringing you an encouraging word, letting you know that God is able. And I want you to be sure to support our show by picking up a copy of our brand new book just for you. And you'll be glad you did. Well, welcome back to our show. I tell you, man, that song, man, I'm telling you, it just, your presence is a gift. Oh, man, Dr. Smith. Man, that's incredible.
God be praised.
How did you come up with the lyrics for that? You know,
well, it was several writers who just kind of get, have a think tank and a writing session and just kind of think through. Everybody has some thoughts. Me personally, I try to come up with the chorus of the song first,
okay,
and then work my way back through the verses. So every song is different, but just how do we tell the story of what I've experienced, what I've come through. And for me, sometimes the songs come from a difficult place. So sometimes I don't like God to give me a song because that song came from somewhere. You know what I mean? Something inspires it.
Well, they always say through your pain, can birth great things.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Wow. Well, let me ask you this. I mean, you being a songwriter and a prolific writer, should I say? How did you know when that was it? When you're writing, you said, "That's it.
Sometimes you don't know.
Okay.
Fortunately for me, I don't write music to play on the radio.
Okay.
I don't write stuff that I think people want to hear. I try to write things that are authentic to me.
Okay.
And then I'm hoping, I pray that through my authenticity, that what's from the heart is going to reach the heart. So that's how I try to approach it. And for me, when you hear it all come together and the team comes together, then we all make a corporate decision that we have enough to go forward with it. My latest project is God, period. My latest single, Your Presence is a Gift, and you can download it, and I hope it blesses you.
All right, well, Dr. Smith, as we get ready to leave our audience, get ready to wrap up this edition of our show, what could you say as a parting word of encouragement to somebody who's listening who might need a word of encouragement? What could you say to them as we wrap up the show?
For me, I think I've learned through my pain the stability of the scriptures. And there's a scripture in Romans that says all things work together for those who love God and those who are the called according to his purposes. And so for me, it's not that everything I experience will feel good or look good or sound good, but inevitably, if I love God and stay focused and called according to his purposes, God has a way of synergizing all things so they work together for good. And so you may be going through a difficult time now, but God is a God who sees the past, the present, and the future. And I'm telling you, if you keep loving God and stay called according to his purpose, our present sufferings won't be compared to the glory that's going to be revealed in us. So keep loving God and keep staying called according to God's purposes, and you have the resolute assurance that things will work together for your good. Believe that, live by that, and let it give you peace.
And remember, your presence is a gift. Well, listen, we're out of time for this edition of our show. We certainly thank you for tuning in, Dr. Smith. We thank you for being our guest on our show today. And again, we thank you for tuning in for this edition of the Billy Holloway Show. And as Dr. Dewey always say, you be good to God, he'll be good to you. And until next time, you be blessed.
I am a man blessed beyond my dreams, but it don't mean nothing. Life's not good as it seems. Love and riches, what do they really?
Thanks to our sponsors, today's show is being underwritten by
Legacy Funeral Home and Life Center offers an array of quality services, serving our community with compassion, care, dignity, and respect. We are dedicated to the value of compassionate funeral services and believe our first responsibility is to the families we serve. We guarantee our wide selection is unmatched, allowing you to customize a funeral ceremony or memorial tribute that truly captures your loved one's memory. Legacy takes pride in serving all families during their time of need. Let Legacy Funeral Home and Life Center help you leave a legacy well celebrated.
I've written a brand new book entitled An Encouraging Word, bringing you an encouraging word, letting you know that God is able. And I want you to be sure to support our show by picking up a copy of our brand new book just for you. And you'll be glad you did.